She didn't knock. She slammed the door and shouted, "Open up! HOA enforcement!" Before I could even speak, she was already yelling on her phone, saying I was an armed threat trespassing on community land. Two men stood behind her wearing cheap black uniforms, fake badges shining too bright to be real. One of them smirked and said, "My Lake Cabin was being seized, effective immediately." I laughed under my breath, because I was standing on land my grandfather bought in cash 40 years ago. Karen stepped closer, pointing at my porch like she owned it, waving a printed notice she clearly made at home. "You have 10 minutes to leave, or we arrest you," she said. Then she looked past me and froze. Her voice cracked when she saw the shotgun resting beside the door, untouched but visible. I didn't raise it. I didn't threaten anyone. I just said calmly, "You might want to check who this land belongs to, and who you're pretending to be." One of the fake cops whispered something to the other. Karen snapped at them to "Do your job." That's when the sound of a distant engine echoed across the lake, and her face slowly lost all the engine sound got closer, cutting through the air like a warning. Karen turned around fast, her heels sinking into the dirt, acting like nothing was wrong. One of the fake cops backed up a step, his hand shaking near his radio that wasn't even turned on. Karen lowered her voice and said, "Don't worry, it's probably just a fisherman," but she was wrong. A dark green truck rolled up near the dock. No plates on the front, American flag sticker faded on the back. The man who stepped out didn't look at Karen at all. He looked straight at me and nodded once. Karen noticed it and snapped, "Sir, this is an HOA enforcement matter. You need to leave." The man smiled slowly and said, "Ma'am, you're standing on federal lease land." Silence hit hard. Karen laughed loud, fake and sharp, and waved her hand. "That's impossible. This whole area belongs to our HOA. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone, still calm, and pressed play. Her own voice filled the air from last week, bragging about towing cars and kicking people out even if they cry. One of the fake cops cursed under his breath. Karen's eyes went wide, then angry. She screamed, "Turn that off," and tried to grab my phone. That's when the man from the truck spoke again, his voice firm now. "Don't touch him." He opened his jacket just enough to show badge. Real this time. Karen stumbled back like the ground moved under Karen's face, on stiff. But she didn't stop. She pointed at me and yelled, "He threatened us with a weapon. Arrest him now." The two fake cops looked at each other, panic clear in their eyes. One of them finally spoke. "Ma'am, maybe we should go." She snapped back, "No. He's lying. That badge is fake too." The man from the truck didn't raise his voice. He pulled out his phone and said, "County sheriff is already on the way." That's when Karen crossed the line. She rushed to my porch and slapped a bright red sticker across my door. "Notice of eviction." My daughter's voice came from inside the cabin, small and scared, asking if someone was breaking in. Something in my chest tightened. Karen heard her and smiled. "Kids shouldn't be around criminals," she said. Then she signaled the fake cops. "Tow his truck, now." 10 minutes later, a tow truck rolled in and hooked my vehicle while Karen filmed on her phone, laughing, telling her followers how she took back the lake. I didn't move. I just stared at her, counting seconds. When the real patrol cars finally arrived, lights flashing across the water, Karen started crying on command. "Thank God you're here," she said, pointing at me. "He's dangerous." The officer looked at my porch, then at the eviction notice, then at the shotgun still untouched. He turned to Karen and asked one question that changed everything. Karen started talking fast, tripping over her own words. "That's not true. He forged papers. Our HOA controls this whole lake." One of the real officers asked her for HOA documents. She handed over a thin folder, smiling again like she won. The officer flipped through it once, then twice. His face changed. "These signatures are copied," he said. Karen laughed nervously and said, "You don't understand how HOAs work." That's when the second patrol car door opened and another officer stepped out. Older, calm, sharp eyes. He looked at me and said my last name out loud. Karen froze. The officer walked to my porch, glanced at the land markers near the water, and nodded. "This cabin sits on land register under a military conservation program," he said. Karen shouted, "He's lying. Arrest him." The older officer turned slowly toward her. "Ma'am, he didn't fight overseas to be evicted by fake papers. The fake cops tried to slip away, but another unit blocked them. One admitted quietly they were just hired for the day. Karen's phone was still recording, and the comments were already turning on her. She backed up, shaking, yelling that everyone was against her. I suddenly stepped forward. Dan said, "You threatened my child on my land." The officer looked at Karen, and Karen tried one last move. She dropped to the ground, screaming like she was the victim, yelling that we were all abusing her. Her phone slipped from her hand. Still live. The screen showed hundreds of people watching. The older officer picked it up, looked at it for a second, then turned the camera toward her. "This woman is being detained for impersonating authority, filing a false report, and trespassing on protected land," he said clearly. Karen screamed, "You can't do this. I run this HOA." The words barely left her mouth when the tow driver walked back, pale. "Sir, I just got the land registry update," he said to the. "This cabin isn't just protected. He's the primary holder." Karen's crying stopped. Her mouth stayed open. I pulled a folded document from my jacket and handed it over. The officer read it, then handed it back with respect. "Thank you for your service," he said quietly. The fake cops were cuffed. Karen tried to run but slipped near the dock and fell hard. As they pulled her up, she screamed my name like it was a curse. I leaned close and said low enough only she could hear it, "You thought power was noise. Real power stays quiet." The lake went still again, and for the first time, she understood she had lost everything. Karen was sitting on the ground now, hands shaking, mascara running, still trying to talk her way out. She kept saying the same line again and again, louder each time, like volume could change facts. "This is a misunderstanding. I have authority here. Everyone knows me." No one answered her. The officers were busy. One was on the radio, voice low and serious. Another was taking statements from the tow driver, who kept nodding like his whole world just flipped. The fake cops were separated, heads down, no more confidence left in them. One of them kept glancing at the lake like he was thinking of jumping in and swimming away. I stayed where I was, close to the door, my hand resting on the wood, feeling my daughter's presence behind it. I knocked softly twice, our signal. She opened the door just enough to see me and ran into my arms. Karen saw that and tried to stand again. "He's using a child for sympathy," she yelled. The older officer snapped back. "Ma'am, sit down." She sat. The sheriff arrived next. Real authority filled the air without a word being said. He didn't rush. He didn't shout. He looked around first. At the cabin. At the dock. At the markers by the trees. Then at Karen. "I've had reports about you," he said calmly. Her head snapped up. "Reports?" He nodded. 3 false filings this month. 2 harassment complaints. 1 illegal tow. Her mouth opened, then closed. She tried a new angle. "These people don't belong here," she said, pointing at me like I was dirt. "They ruin communities." The sheriff looked at me, then at my daughter holding my leg. "He belongs here more than you do," he said. That hit her harder than cuffs ever while they talked. Another truck pulled in quietly. No sirens, no lights. A woman stepped out wearing plain clothes, carrying a thick folder. She didn't look at Karen either. She walked straight to the sheriff and handed it over. "Land use violations, HOA fraud, impersonation," she said. Karen started shaking again. "Who is she?" The sheriff answered without looking at her. "State investigator," Karen screamed then. Not words, just sound. Raw and ugly. People on the live stream heard it. The investigator asked me few questions. Simple ones. How long I owned the cabin. Who transferred it. Whether anyone ever approached me about selling. I answered slow and clear. I could feel eyes on me from every direction. When I mentioned my grandfather's name, the investigator paused. "That explains it," she said quietly. Karen caught that. "Explains what?" she demanded. The investigator finally looked at her. "You tried to take land that can't be taken," she said, "and you documented it yourself." She held up Karen's phone. The screen was cracked now, but still streaming. Comments were flying so fast you couldn't read them. Karen lunged for the phone. 2 officers stopped her easily. She screamed that we set her up, that this was a trap. The sheriff sighed. "No one trapped you," he said. "You walked in loud and left evidence behind." That line spread fast online. They started packing up. Statements done. Photos taken. Evidence bagged. The fake eviction notice was peeled off my door and placed in plastic like it was poison. The tow driver unhooked my truck and apologized 3 times. He looked sick. "I didn't know," he kept saying. I nodded. You do now. Just when it felt like it was over, Karen smirked. It was small, but I saw it. She leaned toward the sheriff and said, even if you arrest me, he's still surrounded by HOA land. I'll be back. The sheriff didn't respond. The investigator did. No. You won't, Karen laughed. You can't ban me from my own community. The investigator opened the folder and pulled out a single page. Emergency injunction, she said. Effective immediately. You're removed from all HOA positions pending trial. Karen's laugh died mid-breath. That's not possible, she whispered. The investigator leaned closer. It is when you break federal land rules. Karen looked at me then. Real fear this time. Not anger. Not fake tears. Fear. They lifted her up and walked her toward the cruiser. She fought. Just a little. Enough to make it worse for herself. As they pushed her head down to seat her, she looked back at me and yelled, "This isn't over." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The door closed. The lock clicked. That sound felt heavy and right. The cruisers pulled away one by one. The lake went quiet again, like nothing had happened. Birds came back. Water moved gently against the dock. My daughter finally let go of my leg. Are they gone? She asked. I nodded. They're gone. She smiled and went inside. The investigator stayed a bit longer. She asked if I wanted to press additional charges. I said yes, calm, clear. She nodded like she expected it. Before leaving, she looked at the cabin one last time. People like her don't see. I opened it. Karen's face was everywhere. Mugshot. Headline: HOA fraud ring exposed across 3 counties. Turns out she wasn't just bullying people. She was stealing land, money, and homes for years, using fake boards and paid actors to fake cops from my cabin. They flipped fast, named names, showed emails, bank transfers. 1 hour later, another alert came in. Federal charges. The lake cabin she tried to grab. All protected, all tie back to veterans, old families, and conservation trusts. She didn't just pick the wrong man. She picked the worst possible place to lie. The next morning, a flag truck stopped by my dock. The same man from yesterday stepped out, holding a folded American flag. From the department, he said. For your grandfather. I took it slow. My hands shook a little. He didn't say thank you. He didn't need to. We both knew. As he left, he turned back once and said, she told the wrong people they didn't belong. A week later, the HOA dissolved. Signs came down. Gates opened. Families came back. I saw neighbors wave who never waved before. Some stopped to say sorry. Some just nodded. That was enough. My daughter asked why everyone was being nice now. I told her, because fear is loud, but truth is stronger. That night, I stood on the porch again. Same lake, same quiet. The shotgun stay where it always wasn't touched. Not because I needed it, but because I had the right to have it. I looked out at the water and smiled.